Heartbreaking case on Long Island where a mother is charged with manslaughter after her baby choked to death on unpopped popcorn kernels. Carolyn Gussoff has details of what prosecutors call the mother's long history of alcohol abuse.
For over an hour, an 18-month-old baby lay on the floor of a Long Island apartment, not sleeping, not breathing, and nobody called for help. Let me tell you what happened in that hour, and why prosecutors say his own mother is the reason he never made it home. His name was Luke Russell Jr. Everybody called him LJ. And on a night that was supposed to be nothing more than a regular overnight visit with his mom, LJ choked to death on a popcorn kernel. Not popped, not buttered, raw. The kind you're not supposed to eat at all. But here's the thing, y'all. This isn't just a story about a baby and a bag of popcorn. This is a story about addiction, about trust, and about a mother who prosecutors say chose a bottle of vodka over her own son's life. So sit with me for a minute, because we're about to walk through exactly how this happened. Olivia Bithorn was 36 years old, living in Merrick, New York, a quiet town on Long Island where nothing like this was supposed to happen. She had 2 kids with her husband, a 3-year-old daughter, and LJ, her baby boy. But by the time this story starts, Olivia and her husband were already separated. In every home, behind every closed door, there's a story waiting to be uncovered. Welcome to Dark Whispers, where we dive deep into the hidden truths of domestic crime and the relationships that turn deadly. If you're drawn to real stories, powerful insights, and the shadows most people avoid, you're in the right place. Subscribe now and step into the whispers they never wanted you to hear. Now here's where it gets complicated. Olivia had a history, a long one. Prosecutors say she'd been in and out of rehab for years, cycling through treatment programs, trying to get sober, relapsing, trying again. Anybody who's watched addiction up close knows exactly what that cycle looks like. It doesn't just wear on the person going through it. It wears on everybody standing next to them, hoping this time is the time it finally sticks. And for a while, it looked like maybe it had. Her husband believed she'd been sober for months. Months. That's not nothing. That's why, when she asked for an overnight visit with their 2 kids, he said yes. He thought his kids were going to spend the night with a mother who had turned a corner. Period. He had no reason to think otherwise. But there's more to Olivia's history than just rehab stays. Just under a year before LJ died, one of her own friends had gone on social media, pleading for help, saying Olivia was missing. When she finally turned up, she told people she'd been out looking for an apartment when she was attacked and robbed. She said she ended up in the hospital because of it. Now, whether that's exactly what happened or not, one thing was already becoming clear to the people around her. Olivia's life was unstable, and it had been for a while. There were also allegations that came out later, ones that prosecutors would bring up in court, that Olivia had been binge drinking even while she was pregnant with her children, that her drinking had already put her kids at risk before. Car crashes, incidents most people never even knew about until it was too late. So when you hear people say, "How did nobody see this coming?" Understand this. People did see pieces of it. They just didn't know how bad it was about to get. On April 12th, LJ and his big sister came to spend the night with their mom at her apartment on Steveston Avenue. Just a regular visit. The kind of night thousands of separated families go through without a second thought. Nobody in that family had any idea that by the next morning, one of those 2 kids wouldn't be coming home. So the kids get to the apartment. Normal enough. LJ is 18 months old. Still a baby, really. Just starting to toddle around and get into everything the way babies do. His sister is 3. Old enough to talk. Old enough to know when something's wrong, but still a baby herself in so many ways. At some point that night, Olivia gives both kids a bag of popcorn kernels. Now, Let me be clear about something, because this detail matters more than people realize. These weren't popped. This wasn't a bowl of movie night popcorn. These were raw, unpopped kernels. Hard, small, exactly the size and shape that chokes a toddler. Any parent, any pediatrician, any daycare worker will tell you, you don't hand unpopped popcorn to a baby. It's one of the most well-known choking hazards there is. But according to prosecutors, that's exactly what Olivia did. And then, instead of staying in the room to watch her kids eat it, she walked away. She went into the bathroom, and she started drinking vodka. Not a sip. Not one drink to take the edge off. Investigators would later find a bottle of Tito's back there, nearly empty. So picture it, 2 babies, left alone in a living room, with a snack that could kill either one of them if nobody's watching, and their mother behind a closed door, drinking. LJ started choking. There was nobody there to see it happen, nobody there to flip him over, nobody there to do a single thing to save him. His 3-year-old sister was the only other person in that room, a baby herself. She didn't understand what was happening to her brother. She just knew something was wrong, so she did the only thing she knew to do. She went to go get her mom. Prosecutors say that by the time anyone found LJ, he was already gone. He was lying on the floor, unresponsive. His skin had turned blue. He was cold to the touch. Investigators would later say he'd likely been dead for over an hour before anyone even called 911. Let that sit with you for a second. An hour. While his mother was in the bathroom. While his sister was the only one in the room with him. An 18-month-old baby, choking and dying, alone. When authorities finally arrived at that apartment on Steveston Avenue, they found LJ surrounded by dozens of unpopped kernels scattered across the floor. Dozens of them. Not one stray piece. A whole bag's worth, spread out around his body. And in the bathroom, that nearly empty bottle of vodka, right where Olivia had left it. Make it make sense. A 3-year-old had to be the one to notice her brother wasn't breathing, not the grown adult who was supposed to be watching them both. Investigators determined LJ died because an unpopped kernel became lodged in his throat and cut off his airway. He suffocated. A completely preventable death, prosecutors say, caused by 2 choices. The choice to hand her children a known choking hazard, and the choice to walk away from them while she drank. Once first responders arrived and realized what they were looking at, this stopped being just a tragedy and became a criminal investigation. Investigators started piecing together the timeline. How long LJ had been on that floor, how long Olivia had been in that bathroom, and what exactly she'd been doing while her son was dying feet away from her. Nassau County prosecutors didn't waste time drawing the line for the public. The district attorney came out and said it plainly. This crossed the line from accident to crime. And here's the distinction they wanted people to understand. If you step out of the room for a few minutes and something happens to your child, that's a tragedy. That's an accident. But if you hand your child a known choking hazard and then remove yourself entirely, knowing you won't be there to help if something goes wrong, that's not an accident anymore. That's a conscious disregard for your child's safety. That's what turns grief into a courtroom. Investigators also started digging into Olivia's past, and what they found became a bigger part of the case than just that one night. The rehab stays, the alleged binge drinking during her pregnancies, the disappearance the year before. Prosecutors used all of it to paint a picture, not of one bad night, but of a pattern that had been building for years, one that finally caught up to the one person who couldn't survive it, her son.
Tears in the courtroom as 36-year-old Olivia Bithorn listened to prosecutors detail her alleged binge drinking they say led to her toddler's death. Prosecutors say that in April, while her children were visiting her at her Merrick apartment, Bithorn gave 18-month-old Luke Russell Jr. and his 3-year-old sister a bag of unpopped popcorn kernels, then left them alone while she drank vodka in the bathroom. The baby choked to death.
Her son was blue and cold to the touch. They estimate, allegedly, he was dead for about over an hour before 911 was called. Allegedly, she was in the bathroom, possibly getting sick because she had drank so much.
Nassau DA Ann Donnelly says the heartbreaking tragedy crossed the line from accident to a crime, manslaughter, because of her conscious disregard for a known choking hazard for young children, and the binge drinking created an unjustifiable risk.
It's an accident if you leave the room for a few minutes and your child is, but it's criminal if you actually give your child these kernels to eat and not be present.
How do you feel about her being charged? Bithorn's estranged husband declined comment as he left court. The couple's 3-year-old daughter found the baby unresponsive. Prosecutors say Bithorn had cycled in and out of rehab for years and described other alleged incidents in which they say her drinking put her children at risk, including car crashes and even a disappearance. She pleaded not guilty.
Olivia Bithorn was charged with manslaughter and endangering the welfare of a child. She pleaded not guilty. At first, she was released to a drug and alcohol treatment facility with electronic monitoring. But that arrangement didn't last. During a court appearance, after issues came up with her insurance and finding a secure rehab placement, a judge ordered her held on $500,000 bail. If convicted, she's facing anywhere from 5 to 15 years behind bars. The judge also issued stay-away orders of protection for her 3-year-old daughter and for her estranged husband. Think about that for a second. The same daughter who found her brother, the same husband who thought his kids were finally safe with their mother again. Both of them now legally protected from her. Her husband didn't say much publicly. When reporters caught him leaving court, he declined to comment. Can't say I blame him. What is there really to say? Luke Russell Jr. didn't make it to see his 2nd birthday. His story isn't really about popcorn, and it was never really about one bad night. It's about how addiction, left unchecked, doesn't just hurt the person struggling with it. It puts everybody around them, especially the smallest, most defenseless ones, directly in harm's way. His sister will grow up knowing she's the one who found him. That's not something a 3-year-old should ever have to carry. And now it's up to a courtroom to decide what accountability looks like for the woman who was supposed to protect them both. This has been Dark Whispers. Let us know what you think happened behind that closed bathroom door, and we'll see you in the next one.